Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. With a certain themed month coming up in December, and that certain theme containing a lot of direct-to-DVD sequels, I figured it only makes sense to talk about a certain aspect of those sequels. You see, in the late 90s and early 2000s, Disney struck it big-ish with their direct-to-DVD sequels. For whatever reason, kids really wanted to know what happened after Happily Ever After. You name it, Cinderella 2, Pocahontas 2, even Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Ooh, maybe now we finally get the original book ending. Despite some of them being given an impressive animation budget, almost on par with their theatrical hand-drawn movies, most of them are known as some of the worst material Disney's put out. Who was really asking for another Brother Bear? Who couldn't sleep at night if they didn't know what happened to Kronk's Groove? Looking these over though, I did start to wonder, which Disney sequels did we want to see? Which ones could actually be explored more and we'd welcome another film about? Some of these are already in demand and being made, like Wreck-It Ralph, The Incredibles, and so on. But we're also getting Cars 3 and Toy Story 4 after Cars 2 and Monsters University. So, not that it's likely that these are gonna happen, but I thought it'd be fun to explore the Disney sequels that we actually wanted to see. In fact, my first choice isn't even a part 2, it's a part 3. To maybe make up for parts of part 2. I'm talking about Fantasia. The first film is seen by many as an artistic masterpiece, and it was meant to continue with a ton of varying sequels. Well, sadly, we only got one with Fantasia 2000, which not only did poorly at the box office, but it kind of pissed off those who loved the first film with edited versions of the music, slightly more childish segments, and painful cameos.
Fraud! Dismemberment! Rip-off!
Oh. You can figure out their target audience when they refer to Salvador Dali as the melting watch guy.
Now Salvador Dali, you know, the limp watches guy.
Yeah, I can really see him doing something similar in the first film.
Leonardo da Vinci, you know, one of the Ninja Turtles.
But still, it had some beautiful moments and exceptional animation and ideas. So, maybe a third one could work if they just knocked off talking down to the audience. When the first Fantasia failed to make the money it needed back, they worked in the other segments they were gonna put into future Fantasias into just short cartoons. The same thing happened with Fantasia 2000, which gave us two wonderful segments. Salvador Dali's, Melting Watch Guy's, Destino, and a heartbreaking rendition of The Little Match Girl. Both of these are phenomenal and give hope that maybe a third Fantasia could happen if they're risky but also adult enough to pull it off. It's definitely worth taking that chance. But not all Disney sequels have to be adult. How about Robin Hood? This was about as basic an action-adventure movie you could get, but it did it so wonderfully. It was creative, exciting, had great action scenes, and one of the few Disney films that was entirely anamorphic life forms. No humans could exist in this world. With Zootopia being such a big hit, hell, maybe that'll get a sequel too. Perhaps another one of these would be a lot of fun. Everything seems kinda laid out. Robin Hood and Maid Marian are married. Maid Hood? They have a babysitter living with them who's also a baby? Yeah, I never got that part. But they could have kids and they could go on adventures too. Just create another evil to fight and this could be a very simple but also very enjoyable adventure. Animation especially has come a long way. It'd be really cool to see these with much smoother lines as opposed to that sketchiness, and maybe even given the CG route. Again, they made them look great in Zootopia, it could probably work here too. It seems like the possibilities are strong enough to check out. And speaking of animal movies, why not The Great Mouse Detective? The film wasn't a huge hit when it came out, but it's getting more and more of a following. Its hero, Basil of Baker Street, is uncontrollably likable. He's funny, he's smart, he's got a ton of energy, and he's incredibly enjoyable to watch. Granted, his arch-nemesis Ratigan, who's also a fantastic character, is killed in the end, but so what? The stories of Basil obviously have an influence from Sherlock Holmes. Hell, he stays in Sherlock Holmes's walls. And Sherlock had more enemies than just Moriarty, so why can't Basil? The ending even indicates he's starting a new mystery. Why don't we just pick up where that left off? A missing ring? Okay, well who took it? For what diabolical plan? Maybe it's part of some other villain's big scheme and Dawson, his new assistant, has to get used to Basil's eccentric nature. There's ideas here. Maybe he can even be solving a crime while Sherlock is solving one parallel to his. Come on, there was a cool clock tower scene in the last one. We can go even bigger, even more exciting. Look into it, Disney. There's something cool here. Now, a lot of Disney animated films are based on books, and if the book has a sequel, shouldn't the movie too? I'm of course talking about Alice in Wonderland. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, that first film is perfect, leave it alone, don't add any more to what was fine. But here's the thing, there's so many versions of Alice in Wonderland out there. Many of them trying to be line for line the definitive version, and some of them not even getting the title right. But out of all of that, Disney's is still the best, because they knew it had to be a movie first, and they had to change things around to make it flow like one. But with that said, that means there's still a ton of things left out. Characters like the Jabberwocky, the Griffin, the Knight, there's a ton of places you can go with this. And because the narrative is not very story-based and more of a person just coming across strange thing after strange thing, you don't even have to worry that much about the story. Just focus on the surrealism, the imagination, the humor, all the fun stuff that made the first film so cool. You can make Through the Looking Glass actually like Through the Looking Glass, unlike Through the Looking Glass. Even the original voice actress, Catherine Beaumont, is still alive, and she still reenacts her role. It seems silly not to make this. All the pieces are right there. Don't give it a complicated story about prophecies or Narnia ripoffs. Just do mad people acting like mad people, and you'll have something great. Come on, this makes too much crazy sense not to happen. But it doesn't just have to be one of the hand-drawn movies. The CG movies are perfectly eligible too. With all the sequels Pixar says they're bringing out, I'm surprised there's no interest in another Inside Out. Not only was the first film incredibly poignant as well as funny, but the ideas were literally mind-blowing. When growing up, there's so many changes that happen that can be more than just a puberty joke. Maybe some emotions get more powerful and become bullies. Maybe some other people's emotions multiply and start taking over her emotions. I mean, come on, other people's emotions can have an effect on others. I mean, why not have them, like, sneak into another person's brains and emotions and, like, try to take over? Maybe even brand new emotions are born, new characters. The possibilities are endless. Apparently when making this movie, there were even more ideas the filmmakers wanted to utilize, but they didn't have the time. Another movie showing Riley growing up and dealing with these new emotions is a perfect way to explore them. It makes more sense than Cars 3, for God's sake. Do me a favor, Pixar, and don't keep a closed mind on this one. But that's not the only Pixar film. How about Monsters, Inc? Let me explain. I'm sure you're thinking of the follow-up film Monsters University as counting. First of all, that was a prequel, not a sequel. Second, who the hell wanted to see that? What little kid is saying, "Mommy, I want to see these monsters go to a degree-granting institution for higher learning"? No one! But you know what would be interesting? Maybe Sully continues to see Boo and watches her as she grows up. Maybe as a teen or an adult, she starts to question whether or not she should still be communicating with quote-unquote monsters in the closet. Maybe she tries to convince herself they're not real, and that creates a rift between her and Sully. Maybe all those existential issues that always sneak their way into Pixar films can have an explosion of self-conflict here. Who wouldn't want to see a girl grow up talking to literal monsters and how it affects her and the people around her? It's sensible, it's strange, it's childish, it's adult, it's a neat idea, damn it! It's a neat idea! I don't want to see a PG-rated version of Animal House, I have the R-rated version for that! With Pixar's love of talking about growing up and moving on with things, this seems like a perfect format for that. But it's not like animation and reality always went hand in hand. Look at Enchanted. An animated Disney peasant sent to the real world only to find out she's not looking for a prince, but instead a reasonable relationship. It was a cute film and did well at the box office, but that does beg the question, what about the prince and the woman he takes to the animated realm? Most of the movie was showing how an animated heroine reacted to the real world, but how about how a real heroine reacts to the animated world? This character didn't get much focus in the original, and now that kids know she was played by Elsa, Disney's probably kicking themselves for that. So here's your chance to expand on that character. Disney had fun mocking its old tropes with this, but how about their newer tropes now? Not all Disney films are Snow White or Sleeping Beauty, we got our Mulans and our Hunchback of Notre Dames and such. How fun would it be to see this character try to survive in that kind of animated world? She can teach them about reality and they can teach her about whimsical magic and such. It could be pretty enjoyable. Maybe there's something here, something that can be explored more. Okay, probably nothing fantastic, but a cute dive into the other side of things. It could be worth looking into. In fact, a lot of these are worth looking into. With so many Disney sequels that none of us ever wanted to watch, maybe we could start looking at the ones that we do want to watch. I mean, yes, in the long run, I want to see new material like a lot of people do. We have enough repeats in the world. But if you're gonna do sequels anyway and they're just gonna keep making money, maybe give these a thought. I'm not saying they'll be great, but they gotta be better than a lot of the ones that we got in the past. Disney, this is definitely worth looking into. I know it's a long shot, even dream-worthy, but if there's anything you tried to teach us, it's that dreams can definitely come true. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and if you excuse me, there's a certain holiday I need to get ready for. Hey, Doug Walker here doing the charity shout out. This week we are doing Prevent Child Abuse. Prevent Child Abuse America was founded in 1972. It is the first organization in the United States whose sole mission is to prevent the abuse and neglect of our nation's children. It undertakes its mission by effecting change at the governmental and community level on the systems that support the full range of services needed to promote the child development process and provide parents with better conditions. Based in Chicago, PCA America has state chapters in 47 states and over 400 Healthy Families America sites in 41 states. Together, approximately 500 staff in the national office and chapters manage over 353 different locally based strategies to meet their mission of the organization. They have an additional 2,900 home visitation workers, supervisors, and program managers to oversee and implement this program. So much good has come from this organization, and if you look at their website or their YouTube page, you can see all the lives they help to make better. Click on the link below and see how you too can help so many children have the childhood they deserve.